Before we dive into today's content as well, just a quick update on what's new in the world of AI, but focused on ChatGPT because it's the tool that most of us use. So there is quite a bit of news happening with ChatGPT right now. A lot of new stuff happening, and some of it I need to evaluate. As I said, I've been away on vacation for 2 weeks, so I'm still catching up myself. There's also some interesting news coming out of Anthropic as well with Claude, which I will probably share with you very soon. Something is coming soon, which I think is absolutely extraordinary. Very excited by it, but at the moment it's not available to people without the top level account. So I'll save that for another day. But in terms of ChatGPT, if you go to their website, OpenAI's website, to see what's new, there's a lot of stuff they've been rolling out. I'm not going to go through this because I think a lot of it's not that important to us, like parental control, some of the coding stuff at the moment, although they are doing some really interesting agentic stuff right now. I will cover that soon. But I think that including their instant checkout is really interesting. But the things that I think are most interesting in the last couple of weeks, just to be aware of, is if you are using the business account, which used to be called the Teams account. They renamed it a few weeks back. It's not ChatGPT Teams anymore, it's business. And those of you that have done my privacy and security course will know that accounting firms should be using the business account because of it's GDPR compliant. The others aren't. So the big announcement in the Teams plan now, the business plan, is that projects, which is one of my favorite features, projects, you can now share your projects with your team. I wasn't sure why that took so long to do. When they introduced the original Teams plan, you could share your custom GPTs with your team, but why you couldn't share projects, I don't know. Anyway, now you can, and I think that's a really powerful update because I love projects. I can see that Sarah's putting the first of the links in now already. They're coming slowly, so look out for those. Right, let's get started. AI-powered pricing. So let's look at, I talked a lot about value pricing, and I thought it was time to do another live stream on this particular topic and talk about how we can use AI, how we can use ChatGPT, how we can use prompts to help us with our pricing. So I'm going to walk you through a series of prompts that we could use. I'm going to use an example, a case study for this session. And I also know that some people may be listening on the podcast, and so you can listen to it, but if you want to see the prompts, then you'll want to come to the YouTube channel and check out the recording. So, value pricing. Pricing is more important than I think ever before in this AI-driven world. Some of you who come along regularly will know that I've said this a lot, that as AI automates more stuff, and so far in 2025, we're seeing a huge acceleration still. It keeps getting faster and faster. Some of the things that are happening in the world of AI that are automating things. Some of you will know I predicted for the last year and a half now in my January 2024 predictions live stream for the profession, and also the one I did earlier on this year. I said that I think that by 2030 compliance work will be dead, that we won't be doing compliance work anymore, and probably sooner than 2030. And I still stand by that. I can see that happening. And those of you who, if you've worked through my recent course on agent mode, then it can do extraordinary things in terms of automating some of the bookkeeping. And that's only been out since July, and that tool's going to get better and better. And now I've seen what Anthropic are going to do, which takes things to another level still, then I can see that very, very soon we will get to the stage where compliance work will be automated by the AI. And so if we are clinging to the old-fashioned time-based billing, what we're going to see is increasing downward pressure on prices, and ultimately there may come a point where a lot of firms are just giving away for free a lot of stuff that we currently have charged for in the past, because the time costs go towards zero as technology automates stuff. So That doesn't mean there's no value in bookkeeping. There will always be value in bookkeeping, but the AI will make it so that it takes less and less time and eventually zero time. And so we can't price it based on the hour, we have to price it based on the value. Value in pricing becomes even more important as we find technology reduces the time to do things. And I know many people struggle with value pricing. I've been teaching it now since 2020, so that's what, nearly 25 years. And one of the things that I teach is the steps to implement value pricing, the steps that we need to go through. I teach it as a journey. It's something that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. In fact, I'm still learning stuff about value pricing, and I've been teaching it for 25 years. It does take a while, and as I often say with pricing as well, is that you'll never get your pricing right. There's no such thing as the right price. There's always a better price. Pricing is a process of continually testing. We have to keep testing prices because everything's changing around us. Everything, the value that we create, the value that our clients perceive, what our clients need from year to year changes, the scope of work changes. Pricing should be changed continually. And so I know that from talking to a lot of accountants and bookkeepers, I've heard many say that they've not revisited pricing for years, which is crazy. We should be changing prices frequently. But it does take time to really master value pricing. And I talk about this concept of a journey and taking things step by step. The good news is, though, is that AI can do some extraordinary things to make it much easier to implement into our business pricing systems, value pricing systems. So I'm going to share with you some prompts that for doing this. And the first thing that I talk about, if you want to start value pricing, the first thing I talk about is that if you want to make more money and with value pricing, then we want to create more value. The first thing we have to do is make what we do more valuable to the customer. If we can create more value, then we can charge higher prices. And as long as we communicate that and the customer understands the value, then they will pay higher prices. So that's really the first step. We want to create more value. And that's across every service that you offer, whether it's bookkeeping, whether it's tax returns, accounts preparation, payroll, business strategy, whatever it might well be, you should always be looking to create more value. And not just once, but this should become an annual thing. And the reason for that is because it may be that last year perhaps you have a bookkeeping service and you did this process and you created some more value and perhaps gave some different options and choices to clients. Well, you need to do it again a year later because there's different possibilities, partly because of AI and technology opens up possibilities to deliver more valuable service than perhaps were available a year ago. So we should be continually doing this process for all of your services that you offer. Every single year, you should be thinking about, well, what could we now do to create more value for our customers? Because when you do that, when you create more value, firstly, I think it's the right thing to do. As professionals, we should be continually creating value for customers. Secondly, when you create more value, you differentiate yourself from your competitors, you stand out. And thirdly, when you create more value, you can charge higher prices. So how can we do that with AI? Let's look at a real life example, and I'm going to switch across. I found this particular firm of accountants, bookkeepers. I forget where they are now. I think it was Phoenix. I forget. Anyway, and if it's you, I hope you don't mind me using this as a case study. I went to their website and I looked at their services, and one of the services is bookkeeping. That's a core they are a bookkeeping business. And I looked at the website for what they say to people looking for a bookkeeper in this particular area, and it didn't say a lot, okay? When I look at what they do, it's these 6 bullet points. And so I look at this and think, wow, there is so much more we could do. We could really revamp the pricing of this business, this bookkeeping business. And we could do it really quickly with the right prompts, with AI. So let me walk you through. If I was working with this particular firm, one of the things I do to start with is, okay, so how can we make the bookkeeping more valuable? And I'd brainstorm. The old-fashioned way would be to brainstorm and think about what other services that we could do to create value. But let's use AI. And so I'm going to run a prompt, and I'm going to go across to my prompt library. And if you're a regular, you'll know that people in the Value Pricing Academy, people in the AI Academy have access to this software where I have created dozens and dozens of prompts specifically for business owners, specifically for accounting firm owners, bookkeepers, accounting professionals. These are all prompts covering things like pricing, business advisory, marketing, content creation, answering clients' emails, so much stuff. And we're going to look at pricing today. I'm going to look at 4 particular pricing prompts. So if I just click my filter and go to the pricing prompts, and I'm going to start off with one that's called add more value. So if I open that up, I can see the prompt, I can see the instructions and so on. But all we need to do with this prompt library is grab the prompt we're going to use. And so I can just copy this prompt as markdown to my clipboard. I'm going to go into ChatGPT, and I'm going to start a brand new chat. And imagine I'm working with this firm, or perhaps I am this firm in the US. All I would need to do is paste in the chat, and then at the end of paste into the chat the prompt, and at the end of this prompt, I know it's a long one, I'll explain it to you in a second, there are some variables. So I always use variables in my prompts, which means that we don't have to edit any of this. We can use this for every service, every single year. We just copy and paste it. It's a system. I call it a prompt template. It's a little mini system that we can use over and over again. And I know there are some really smart forward-thinking accounting firm owners listening today, and you're probably now thinking, oh, I could use this for my clients as well. And you absolutely could. If you want to do business advisory and create more value for clients, one of the things that you could do is help your clients with pricing, and you could use this prompt. All you have to do is put in the variables, and to save you watching me type, I'm just going to copy and paste in the variables for this case study. So I put in the website of the business. It's this Hartwood bookkeeping business. That's the website. So you would just put in your website, and we do that to get some context. If you're working with a client, you could put their website in. What's the service? So the outcome is going to be completing a client's bookkeeping. And then what are the essential features? Well, I could list them, but I just went to their pricing page, and it's these 6 items. I could have listed those. I've just given it the link to that. And that's all we need to do. Then we can just run it. But before I run the prompt, let me just go through some of the things in the prompt. It's long. I'm not going to go through it line by line. I just want to pick up on a couple of things. I always start off with prompts. Oops, lost it. At the top with what is the role we want ChatGPT to play. And by the way, if you use a different AI system, like for example Claude or Gemini, these prompts work just as well. Okay, it doesn't have to be ChatGPT for this. You can use the prompts anywhere. I just happen to be using ChatGPT. It's my favorite, and it's what most people use. But regardless, whatever AI system you use, you should always give it a role to play, because you will get a better result. That's basic prompt engineering 101. And so I always build that into my templates. In this case, we wanted to play the role of a product manager, because it's going to help us design a service, make it customer centric, and improve the features and create more value. We then have the task, and what I wanted to do is 2 things. Firstly is to analyze the website, and rather than having to put in the website here, it's a variable which we put in at the end. If you remember, I put in the website down here, website equals that. So I wanted to analyze the website. I wanted to visit and review the website to get context on the business, its service offerings, its ideal customers, and use that context to inform every recommendation. Then what I wanted to do is to improve the service offering for the website. And then this is service outcome is bookkeeping. I will provide the essential features, which is the website which is this page here. I've given it this page. These are the 6 essential features in their bookkeeping service. And I want you to be creative. I want you to identify additional features that add clear value for customers and produce a better outcome. And then I've told it specifically the format that I wanted to put it in, and I've given an example because we know that AI systems are looking for patterns. I've got a few guidelines. I want to make sure it doesn't repeat the things that are already being done, the existing features of the service. Again, that's the things they list on their website, these 6 things. Don't repeat those. I want additional things to add value. I want a numbered list, and I want them to be short and specific. I wanted to base its recommendations on what it learns from the website, in other words, what it knows about the business, and also prioritize features that are easy to implement and clearly improve customer outcomes. And then what I've done is I've given it a whole bunch of examples. I won't go through these now, other than to say that because large language models look for patterns, when you are building your prompts, when you're building template prompts, building in examples is really powerful because they do look for patterns. They will take those examples and that will help them to build a more consistent, predictable, better output. Okay, so that's the prompt. We're going to analyze this bookkeeping business, analyze the business, and then look to figure out what else we can add value to the core service. And so I'm just going to make sure I've got ChatGPT, because we've got GPT-5 now. I'm setting it to instant, simply because we're doing a demonstration. I don't want it to spend half an hour thinking. But you might want to, if you're using GPT-5, you might want to set it to Thinking Mini, which will take a bit longer to get the output, but you will probably get a better output. And if you want to think longer, you can do exactly that. Or of course you might decide you want to use the old legacy models. Perhaps you prefer the old GPT 4.0, and so you've got access to those as well if you've turned the setting on inside settings. So anyway, I'm going with instant because I want a fairly quick answer. So let's go with this, and it's going to take a little while because it's going to be reading the website of this bookkeeping business and analysing. You can see it's saying now it's searching the web, and there you go. It's pretty much, here it goes. It's coming out with our the answer, and let's see how it's going to come up with. This is interesting. Okay, let's go through a few of them. I won't read them all out, but it's suggesting that what this business can do, and let me just quickly flick back here. So it currently does transaction entry, reconciliation of bank accounts, credit cards, monthly accruals, etc., the usual sort of bookkeeping stuff. But if we go to here, it's suggesting that we could add value to this bookkeeping service with a real-time business health dashboard. So we build a live dashboard. Clients can log into any time, showing key metrics, etc. We could offer quarterly strategic check-ins, so that would be a good idea. We could build in some forecasting and cash flow modeling. We could have alerts and threshold notifications. So in other words, it says we'll configure automated alerts, for example, when cash drops below a threshold, when receivables age beyond a certain number of days. That's debtors if you're in the UK. That's all interesting stuff. I like that. Cleanup sprint for legacy data, process and workflow mapping, client education and training library, what changed monthly summary. I like these. There's 10 ideas. I think these are really good ideas. We've got that, and I'll come back to that later. What you would then do is have a look through that and decide which ones you like. Which of those things, how many of those do you think you could build into your service? So that's the first step. That's the first thing that I always recommend when you're looking to build a pricing system for one of your services. Think about how else can we create more value? How can we make it a more valuable service to our clients? How can we make it more different to what other bookkeepers are doing, what other accountants are doing? How can we differentiate through what we do? So then the next thing I recommend that you do is, now you've got all this expanded list of things that you could do, we have to recognize though that not everybody is the same. Everybody values things differently, and when you are meeting a potential client or even existing client, we don't know to what extent they value things. at the end of the day, as my friend Ron Baker says, value is in the hearts and minds of customers. Only the customer can determine value. It's not for us to say that everything on that list is valuable to every single client. Some clients might really value a dashboard, some might not. We don't know. Only the customer can determine value. So how do we get around that when we're presenting our services? Well, one of the ways we can do it, there are many ways we can do it, but the one that I've been teaching for 25 years, because it's the first thing I did in my accounting firm when I started to implement value pricing in 1999, was to give people choices, to give people options. Customers love choice. They love options. And one of the best ways of doing that is to give them a choice of different packages, and specifically 3. Yes, you can give 4 packages or 5 options, but 3 is usually the best. There are situations at a more advanced level where you might offer 4 choices or 5, but let's keep it simple for now. I always recommend starting with giving people a choice of 3. And the reason for that is because of something called the magic of 3. And what that means is that when, as customers, we are faced with 3 choices, most customers, not all, but most, go towards the middle option. They choose the middle one because it feels safest. And when we understand that, there's some interesting things that we can then do with our packaging of our service offerings to further reinforce that, because that gravitating towards the middle option is usually in the customer's subconscious, but we can do things in the way that we lay out our packages, the way we describe them, which encourages more people to realize that's the best one for them and not the cheapest. And what I find, I've been teaching it for 25 years, and what happens is all the firms I've worked with in the Value Pricing Academy tell me over and over again, when they've done it right, most people choose the middle package. And if you do it right, you should find more people choose the most expensive one than the least expensive. So that's what I call menu pricing. I've been calling it menu pricing for 25 years. It's what I teach. And it's really powerful. So we have this long list of things that we've created now of an enhanced bookkeeping service that consists of the foundational stuff like transaction entry, reconciliations and so on, but also now we've got this list of other things that we could now build in. And so what we want to do is, because everybody values things differently, we want to create 3 different packages, 3 packages. And at the cheapest end, it would be likely to be the essential stuff, probably likely to be these things here. These will be the things that everybody needs. And some clients might only value those things, but there will be others that see some value in some of these other things. So let's build some packages which are more valuable, which include some additional ways to add value. And you could sit down and do this yourself. But why not use AI to help you with the process and get started? So we're going to use another prompt. I'm just going to close down this one, and we're going to use one called Package Builder. And if I open up Package Builder, we're going to copy this to clipboard. We're going to go to ChatGPT, do Control V and paste it in. Let me just move this out of the way. And at the end, I just need to put in the variables. So let me do that first, because sometimes I forget, sometimes I run these prompts and forget to actually put in the variables at the end. So let me just put this in here. Control C, Control V. Okay, I'll come back and explain these in a short while. And I do need to add some more things as well. Anyway, let's go to the top of the prompt again. What does this one do? So this time it's acting as a pricing consultant, specializing in value-based pricing with expertise in tiered pricing structures. And I want it's going to get a detailed list of features for a service, and it's going to create a number of packages. It's going to be 3 in this case, because that's the variable that I've set. I made that a variable because you might want to create 4 packages or 2 packages or 5 or 27 packages if you wanted to. I don't recommend that, but I always recommend start with 3. And then I've given it some rules, or some rules to follow. So it's going to identify for each of the packages. I wanted to think about a customer avatar and primary outcome they want. Let me just explain that briefly outside of AI for a second. So when I teach menu pricing, I teach a 7-step framework for menu pricing. There's a process to go through. And one of the most important things to do, which is step 2, is having decided how many packages, let's say 3, before we start building out our packages, it's really important to understand our customers and the different types of customers and what's important to them, their characteristics, their wants, and so on. Because different people will buy different types of stuff. And what we want to do is make sure that as we build out our packages, think of it as bronze, silver, gold if you like, as we build out the bronze, silver, gold, we want to make sure that each of those packages speak to a particular category of client. Because if we don't do that, if we just build random packages, and if none of those packages meet the specific needs and wants of a particular client, then they won't buy. So that means we have to start thinking about, and we're talking about bookkeeping here, if we were to segment our customer base into 3 different types of customer and their characteristics, their wants, and so on, what would they be? And only when we've done that can we really start to build packages properly. Because once we know what a different group of clients might value and want in a package, until we've done that, we don't know what to put in the package. So if I go back to, where was I? Back to the prompt. So that's why step 1 of the prompt is to identify, in this case for 3 packages, who might be the likely customer avatars and their primary wants. Then in step 2, it's going to build out 3 packages by allocating the features to the most suitable package based on the avatar. And then it specifies to use the template below. So I then have a template. When I create prompts, and these standard template prompts, these little mini systems, as well as examples, it's always a good idea to put templates in there. If you have a template in your prompt, then the large language model will follow that template and give you, again, a more predictable output response in the format that you want. So you get predictability, you get consistency, you get a better result. So I've just given it a template here as to how I want it to lay out the output there. And then what I've done is I've specified, again, some examples. Okay, that's why a lot of my prompts are very, very long. Don't be scared by the prompts. Some of the prompts are long because I do spend a bit of time crafting templates and examples to create consistency. And so then we get to the variables. Okay, so in this case, we've got number of tiers. I'm going to go for 3, a bronze, silver, gold if you like. Service outcome is to complete the client's bookkeeping. For features, what are the features that we're going to now allocate across these 3 packages? Well, I've just simply taken the 6 features that this firm already does as part of bookkeeping. I could have just put in the website again. It probably remembers it because it's in the chat already. I just want to make sure there's complete clarity over this. So I've just repeated the features again, and also plus the additional features from your previous response, numbered. So if we go back to the previous response, remember I wanted to add value. It came up with 10 great things. I've lost it already. Let me find where it is. So it came up with these 10 other things that we could do. And what you would do with these is decide which ones you would consider implementing into your packages. And it's come up with 10 of them. And so I'm going to, rather than reading it, it's a demo this, so I'm just going to very quickly say, okay, I like the idea of number 1, 2, 3, don't like 4, we'll go with 5, 7, 8, and 9. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 things there, plus the 16 originally. Okay, so I'm just saying here, these are the things that we do right now. And these are these 7 things here we'd also like to do and build into our packages. So let's get it to come up with something as a starting point for us. So it'll do a bit of thinking. Here we go. Okay, that was fairly quick, but that's because we set it on ChatGPT 5 instant. Okay, you could always get to go a bit slower if you wanted to think deeper. So here we go, packages for a service that completes a client's bookkeeping. And the first step was to look at the customer avatar. So it's suggesting that our first package, our bronze if you like, or essential, might be called Compliance Keeper. And the avatar for this, the most likely customer for our basic bookkeeping, might well be a solo entrepreneur and small business owner who just needs their books up to date and tax filing and compliance. And their desired outcome is accurate, compliant books, ready for tax season with minimal fuss. Important factors: affordability, reliability, accuracy, and time saving. So think about your customer base. Does that sound like a fairly sizable proportion of your customers? And if the answer is yes, then that's probably a really good little avatar for one of your packages. Okay, package number 2. This is growth, the business builder. The avatar here is a small but growing business that wants more than compliance. They want visibility into performance and smarter decisions for their numbers. Desired outcome: clear financial insight to support better management and growth decisions. They want accuracy, insights, and proactive reporting. So do you have clients that want to grow, that want proactive support and help with building their business? I'm going to guess yes. And if so, that's probably a pretty good avatar. And then number 3 is for premium, is the strategic partner. So this might be established or scaling businesses that view bookkeeping as a strategic function. They want integrated reporting, analysis, and guidance to drive profitability and efficiency. The outcome they want is bookkeeping that fuels business strategy, cash flow forecasting, and long-term growth. They value proactive analysis, personal support, real-time data, and premium insights. Do you have clients that would fit? And if so, great. That would be a great avatar and a great way of building a package. And so now it's going to assume the answer to that is yes, that those are 3 good avatars. And so it's now going to build out the packages. Of course, you might want to go back and change this. You might want to say, actually, I don't agree with that. Can we change that? And then it'll rerun the prompt. That's fine. But usually ChatGPT and other LLMs are pretty good when it comes to building out customer avatars, and both for pricing and for marketing. So it's going to come up with some suggested packages. So we've got our essential one, and it's suggesting a name of the Compliance Keeper. And this package is for small business owners and sole traders who simply want their books done accurately and on time. It ensures complete compliant bookkeeping without unnecessary extras. And so it's then listing the features, and probably no surprise, I think that's actually the features that this business has. So I'd agree with, that's what I'd have done anyway. They I guess, are essential features to put in the entry level package. So if I was advising this firm, the advantage of doing this approach, I'm going to assume from their website, they only offer one package. And the problem with one package is you're missing out on the opportunity for customers to pay you a premium price. And some customers will pay you more when they understand they're getting more. So there's a huge opportunity for this particular firm. I don't know who they are. I just found them on the website. So they could then offer this package, which is for growing businesses who want more insight and control. It includes everything in the essential package, plus additional tools and reviews to turn bookkeeping data into actionable business intelligence. And so it's suggesting that it will add in these additional 4 features. Remember from the first prompt, which came up with ways to add more value, it's suggesting that we should perhaps build in the real-time business health dashboard here, the quarterly strategic check-ins, the client education and training library, and the what changed monthly summary. I think that sounds pretty good to me. And then finally, package number 3, it's suggesting that for the strategic partner that we might build in forecasting and cash flow modeling, cleanup sprint for legacy data, integration, health monitoring. And certainly the forecasting and cash flow modeling, I would agree with that one. And that third one as well, I think would be a good one to build in at the top package. So that's the second prompt. This prompt then builds out your packages. So we can now go further. And those of you that are in the Value Pricing Academy that understand the 7-step framework I teach, we could then run more prompts to go deeper on this, because we've got some, for example, we've got some reasonably good descriptions here, but with value pricing, the most important thing about value pricing is communication. It's how we communicate to clients. Words are so important, and having good quality descriptions with the right words are really powerful. If you want to put your packages on a website, for example, I know that I've seen some people put their packages there and it's full of all these tables of ticks. They're really complicated tables. And if you put something complicated on your website, you just confuse people. So by all means, put your packages on there, but keep it simple. And the real focus is everything on your pricing page should be focused on the value to the customer. And in terms of packages, it's that description that's really important. It's helping clients to understand the benefit of each package. What's key about that package? Yes, you can put loads of items with ticks and crosses, but if you put too much, it just confuses people. Save that for the conversation you have, the face-to-face conversation, the Zoom meeting that you have. Words are really important. Okay, so that's that particular prompt. What if you're a visual person and you want to see what that might look like as a pricing comparison table with ticks and crosses? Because you might want to build that into, for example, perhaps you have pricing brochures that you use to help you build up the value of what you do with your services. This is a bookkeeping one I created for a bookkeeper in the UK, and if I can find the right page, so you could put in your, let's see if we can, this is a table of ticks and crosses, hopefully you can see it. And this is the sort of thing you could then go through in a meeting with the client to help them identify the best package for them. So what if you want to build what we've just done into a first draft of that really quickly? So I'm just going to go back to the prompt library and we'll run another prompt. It's called Feature Comparison Table Generator. So I just need to grab this one, go across to ChatGPT, and I'm going to run this as a follow-up prompt. And this particular one hasn't got any variables this time. You just copy and paste and run it. Essentially what this is doing, this prompt, is it's saying, you're a skilled service designer and visual comparison builder, trained to turn service packages into clear, easy to read feature comparison tables. And basically it's saying the task is to build out a feature comparison table. And I've then used a template to make it really clear, a template and an example. Remember, templates and examples will help make sure that you get the right output first time around. Let's just run this and see what it builds out for us. And it shouldn't take too long to do. Here we go. Here's our feature comparison table. I think there were probably about 6 plus 9, 6 plus 7, should be about 13 items here. And so you can see on the end column, we've got ticks for the 6 essential things. And then we've got the extra 4 items in the middle package, the business builder or growth package. And then we've got the last 3 things in the strategic partner premium. So there you go. When you're armed with the right prompts, it's just a copy and paste job. And then you can in seconds build out, in this case, we can build out this, and then you could copy and paste that into a document. You could put this on your website. Obviously you might want to change it a bit. That's entirely up to you. But I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. Let's move on to the next thing that's really important with value pricing. So, okay, we've added more value. We've created different packages for our bookkeeping service now, so that this firm, rather than having just one simple bookkeeping service, are now giving people a choice. And some people will choose to pay more because there's more value. But the most important thing about value pricing is not coming up with the price. Some people think it's all about the price that's important. No, the most important thing about value pricing, and arguably the hardest, is the words that we use, is the communication. It doesn't matter how much value you create, You can build huge amounts of value. If the client, if the customer does not understand the value, then they won't pay for it. So we have to make sure we use the right words. And if we go back to this comparison table, the problem with this, and this is why I advise caution with putting these on a website, is because this is just a list of features. And people don't buy features, they buy benefits. If a client is faced with this on your website, they're going to look at this and read, for example, transaction entry, import from banks and credit cards. So what? What on earth does that mean? They have no idea. They're not accountants, they're not bookkeepers. Monthly accruals. So what? They have no idea what that means. It's therefore got no value whatsoever. What changed monthly summary? What on earth is that? So people don't buy features, they buy benefits. What we have to do, whether it's on your website, in your pricing brochures, and the words that we say in our scripts, we have to communicate the value properly. And in the Value Pricing Academy, I teach that. I teach the words that how to structure that. There is a way of doing it by understanding benefits, deeper benefits, ultimate benefit, using linking phrases, and also using many of the techniques that we learn from price psychology, from behavioral economics, and from marketing. And so, yes, we could then spend a long time creating the words, but this is where AI is really good. This is where it's going to save you so much time. What we can do is we can create the words for all 13 of these really quickly. Let's do exactly that. So I'm going to go across to the prompt library, and I have a pricing prompt called feature value communication, and I just need to click on the copy as markdown, go across to here into my chat, and I'll just paste that in. Control V, I'll paste that in, and I just need to add in a couple of variables, which is the product offering and the feature list. Now you might be thinking at this point, hang on Mark, we know what the product offering is because it's the previous chat. Absolutely, we don't necessarily need to put variables in here, but I designed these prompts to be used standalone. It may be that you've got an existing service and you're happy with it. You just want to tweak and improve the wording, and therefore you might start a brand new chat just with this prompt. And if you're starting a brand new chat, then of course you'll need to say what is the product offering and list things. But in this case, I can keep it fairly simple. I can just put the product offering is complete to client's bookkeeping, and the feature list is the combined list from the packages, which is this lot above. So I'm going to run this prompt in a second. In this case, we're changing ChatGPT's role to a marketing consultant because we're now talking about words. We're talking about communication, and we're now really into the realms of marketing and copywriting. And so what I want it to do is to enhance the wording of every feature in the feature list for the product offering, bookkeeping in this case, by highlighting the benefits of each feature, and for every feature reword using the following framework. So I then give it a framework. It's something I teach in the Value Pricing Academy. I teach linking phrases, ultimate benefits, and so on. And then what I've done with this particular prompt is I've built in a lot of the things that I teach and have taught for many, many years on communicating value, including lots of examples that I teach in my pricing sessions. So that's the prompt. Let's see what it does. Let's see what it does. And it shouldn't take too long to do. But if we compare it to where we started this, so imagine that you're consulting with this business here, or perhaps this is your business. If you look at this page here, if a business owner comes to this page here, there is nothing really that talks much about the benefits of what they do. If you particularly here, when you get to the bookkeeping service, it's a bit kind of vague and wishy-washy there. No matter where your business is in growth, we can tailor these basic functions to suit your needs. And then it then lists these things which nobody values those things other than accountants and bookkeepers. We know what they mean, but business owners have no idea what those things mean to them, and so they won't see any value here whatsoever, and they'll probably then just go and explore a couple of other websites, and so you've lost a potential client. So let's make sure that our websites and our brochures have the right wording. And here we go. I won't read them all out, but you can see, look, in seconds, it built out for everything in our table, it built out some really good words. So let's take monthly accruals. We apply accrual accounting adjustments to match income and expenses to the correct periods. This ensures your financial results reflect the true performance of your business. This means you avoid misleading profit figures that can cause poor decision making or cash flow strain. As a result, you gain accurate insights into your business health and make decisions that increase profit and reduce risk. If I was a business owner, I'd say that makes sense. I want accurate insights, I want to increase profit, and I want to reduce risk. I can now see value of monthly accruals. Do you explain to your clients the value of what you do? I'm sure if you do bookkeeping, you do monthly accruals. If you do accounting, you perhaps do monthly accruals. But do you ever explain that to your clients? If you don't, they're not going to value that thing that you do. Let's pick another one. Let's take the real-time dashboard. We provide a live dashboard showing your cash position, profitability, and key trends at a glance. This means you no longer wait for month-end reports to understand your numbers. As a result, you can make faster, smarter decisions that improve cash flow and boost profit. So, I know I've talked a lot, but that whole process that I've gone through, those 4 prompts, as you can probably imagine now, in about 10 minutes of just copying and pasting 4 standard prompts, just 10 minutes, you could take your existing service, whatever service that might well be, create more value, then come up with how that might be broken up into some different packages based on analysis of customer avatars. Then you could, if you want, create a comparison table, and then the bit that's really time consuming, I think, because I know when I write pricing brochures, it takes a long time to come up with the right words in the right framework and structure that properly communicates value and benefit. And we can do all of that. What might have taken me a day can be done in about 10-15 minutes with the right prompts. So going back to the prompt library, I know some of you use the prompt library. If you don't, and that's just the pricing ones. There are many prompts. So if you don't have access to the prompt library, how can you get the prompt library? How can you get access to it? Well as we make it available to Value Pricing Academy members and also to members of the AI Academy. And I want to tell you about something that's a special deal that we have on right now for the Academy. I just need to press a button somewhere because one computer's gone to sleep. Okay, it's all right, it's dead. Right, the AI Academy is where I help people create and master AI and get better results. To save hours of time, as you've just seen with these 4 prompts. My goal is to help you get better results, faster results, save hours and hours of time. And that's the AI Academy. We launched it back in March, or end of March this year. And I know there's some people here who are already in it, so thank you so much. And this is what it looks like. And what we do in the Academy is, first of all, we have a fantastic community of people, currently 382 members in the first few months. And here you can ask questions of me, ask questions of other people about AI. And there's also some amazing people here who post some really useful stuff. Rajesh, for example, is always posting great stuff. I've not read this one yet. He's only just posted it. Another person, Randall's, always sharing stuff. I don't know if Randall's here or not today. All sorts of AI stuff that's new out, Randall shares. I know Sarah Bridges is here today as well, and she's always sharing some great stuff. She shared how she used some of my prompts to critique her business card, which was really interesting how she did that. So you'll be part of a great community. But also, I have a classroom where I create courses. I create courses such as the essential privacy and security, how to stay the right side of the law with data. A lot of firms are not compliant with the privacy and security rules, particularly if GDPR is important to you. You have to be aware of that. I have courses on prompt engineering. Some of the ones that I've done recently that people love is creating your entire systems with AI. That course is I did back in July. Each course has a series of videos, and then very often, in this case, for example, I give you all the prompts that you need. They're in the prompt library. How to use, create custom GPTs, how to use the brand new agent mode, which is really powerful. We can do some cool stuff there, and we can also make bookkeeping a lot easier. And so much more stuff, more courses coming. I'm in the process of completing a couple of brand new courses coming out this month. More on that later. And then finally, the third thing, as well as the community, as well as the classroom, you also get access to, all members get a complimentary copy of the prompt library and the prompts that I've written for AI Academy members. So all those prompts I've shared today, you get those if you're a member of the AI Academy, or if you're a member of the Value Pricing Academy. So a few things I need to say. If you want to find out more, I'm going to ask Sarah to put the link into the chat, whichever social chat place you're on. This link will take you to where you can find out much more about the courses, the things that we do inside the AI Academy. And if you then click register now, it will take you to the About page. It's on school. But I want to tell you about a couple of very special things. Number one, we currently have a super low Pioneer member price. This is for people who are in early. In a few weeks' time, the price is going up by 27%, and that will affect all future members. And I put the price up every 3 months because we're always creating new content, new resources. But the great thing about this community is that when you join, you lock in the price. So if you want to get benefit from the super low Pioneer member price, join today. And when the price goes up, that will not affect you. You lock in your early adopter price, your Pioneer member price. The second thing is that we've done for just the duration of today's live stream is we've turned on the ability for you to have a 7-day free trial. So if you want to get access to the Academy and try it out, then join in the next 30 minutes and you can get access for 7 days for free. Won't cost anything, and then if you decide it's not for you, then you can leave at any point between now and 7 days, next Tuesday. The only thing I will say is that when you join on the free trial, you will get access to the prompt library software, but with some sample prompts. If you want the ones that I shared today, then you might want to wait until the free trial finishes, because then you can join and pay straight away and get those. If you join on the free trial in the next 30 minutes, you'll still get the prompt library, and then in 7 days' time, if you decide to continue, we will unlock for you all the other prompts, including the ones that I've shown today. Right, I'm conscious that I went longer than I expected today, but I did say to you there's a lot of things I wanted to cover in the content. I can see that Sarah's put the link into at least YouTube right now. Let me see if I didn't see any questions, by the way. I was looking for the QQs. I didn't see any questions, which is partly why I went a little bit longer. But if you do have a question, ask it now, because we finish in 3 minutes. Let me just see some of the comments. Sarah says to access to the prompt library is well worth the price of the AI Academy. Then there are all the courses provided that are just fantastic and so easy to start using right off. Thank you, Sarah, for that. I really appreciate that. And my good friend Veronica Wazik's joined as well. Thank you, Veronica. Look forward to helping you with AI. So any questions? I don't know. I can't see any questions today. That's strange. I've never had one with no questions. Yes, I just saw that, Veronica. I get a little ka-ching sound when somebody joins. So that's awesome. Okay, I have 2 minutes left. I'm going to keep talking for a bit just in case a question does come in. But if it doesn't, then we'll wrap up. So we've talked a lot about pricing systems. There are so many more things that we can do with AI, with building our pricing systems. Just to give you a flavor of some other things that we can do. Firstly, we can We can drill down all that stuff that we've done so far and really refine things. We can refine things like the descriptions of the packages, which are really powerful. But there's also other things that we can do. I talk a lot about in value pricing how we want to run the value conversation, the process, and that starts with asking great questions. And I teach a process of how we ask the great questions. We want to ask them in 4 phases. We want to ask background questions to get some context and background, but then we want to ask the problem questions. We want to understand what are the challenges that people are having. And then we also want to ask consequence questions, because when somebody says they have a particular problem or a challenge, like maybe they say that they're behind with their bookkeeping, which is why they want to talk to you about doing bookkeeping, then what we really want to understand is, well, what's the consequence of that? Why is that a particular issue? And it may be because they're behind with bookkeeping because it's become a problem because now the IRS or HMRC are now investigating them because they are behind. And so there's a more serious consequence. And so we want to ask questions to understand that. And this process of asking questions is quite challenging. It's a learned skill. But here's the great news. With AI, we can build prompts, and I have prompts for coming up with the questions you can ask. We can also create prompts that allow us to do role plays. If you want to learn how to have a pricing conversation better, we can use AI to do role playing, which is really powerful. And so much more stuff, so many more things we can do. And I'll probably do another session, if this is valuable to you, on another live stream on how we can use AI for value pricing. If you found this one valuable, then we can go deeper on some other processes later. So we are pretty much out of time. I didn't see any more questions. I just saw a lovely comment here from another Academy member. Thank you for that. And so I'm going to wrap up by saying, please put in the comment, what's the best thing you've learned today? Let me know. I'd love to get feedback. It'll help me to make sure I make the future live streams better. What was the best thing that you've learned today? If you've enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up button, like button, wherever you are on social. I really would appreciate that. And I will see you hopefully on my next live stream. I'm not sure when it's going to be, probably in 2 weeks' time. If you click the link to get on our VIP list, then we'll tell you in the Monday newsletter. Okay, Linda says, Linda's very kind, says the AI Academy is well worth the cost. There are more benefits than Mark has ever mentioned. I just went through some of the benefits. Yes, there's lots of stuff. Thank you, Linda. Okay, and as far as the free trial is concerned, if you are interested in joining, the free trial closes in 30 minutes. That's at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time today, 5:30 UK time. We'll keep it going for 30 minutes, then we'll close down the free trial. Okay, and I hopefully will see you live sometime soon. If you're new to these sessions, I'm going to play out with some music just so I can read your comments, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.